Hello, everybody. I'm going to share with you part 5 of Charlie Adelson's disability deposition and some of my findings, and I will save you guys the trouble of having to read this lengthy deposition. I think he was in this deposition like all day long this past December, and some of my findings in the 400 pages that I've seen so far are that, he talks about the paternity, he talks about his malpractice, he talks about some of his properties and his travels. And one thing that dawned on me today, and the whole purpose of Charlie filing this disability lawsuit with Berkshire Life Insurance, is because of the Dan Markel murder. I know that they have been snooping through a lot of his financial records, and there was a particular drop off in his productivity in around 2016. And I'm getting to the part of this deposition where they're questioning him pretty hard about a few of his dental offices that seem to part ways through, right after the media had started to target him as a person of interest, and the FBI had targeted him as a person of interest. So the last 200 pages are about Charlie's relationships with these dental offices. And I believe that Charlie's trying to gain a little bit of sympathy for his severed relationships, but mostly trying to gain sympathy for his back, when in fact Berkshire is asking if these severed relationships were because of the Dan Markel murder. And so, there's about, I would guesstimate that there's about 30 places that Charlie used to work that he no longer works at, and they're questioning him pretty hard about those. So let me just give you one example. So this one periodontist, this one place had a falling out in 2018. So this was also around the Katherine Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia trial, that people had discontinued their relationships. Charlie said, he did some work for him until his wife became best friends with Dr. Pike's wife, and he became good friends with Dr. Pike. So they decided to, I felt, pretty much just look for a reason to let me go. So then they say, so the new periodontist he brought in was your buddy, Dr. Pike. He said, mm-hmm. And then they said, are you still, I heard you had a falling out with Dr. Pike. Is that true? He said, no, I went to dinner with him. It was my birthday, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then they said, oh, so I guess no hard feelings about his work with Dr. Stanton, taking your old job. And then Charlie says, this is the one time I've seen Charlie get kind of upset in this. He says, are you trying to make me upset? You know what? Offices come and go, and anyone has a right to let you go for any reason, It's up to me if I want to try to replace him. And then they go on and say, okay, now asked you at the very beginning about, okay, so they switched the subject. So another thing that, and I want to kind of give you guys a sprinkling of what they're asking Charlie throughout this entire thing. So, okay, and another sidebar, I was incorrect about the town center dentist. Charlie is not working there. I think I had said in another video, I think they had his picture and bio still on their website, but sorry, apologies for that. He said that the town center dental in Port St. Lucie, he is definitely not working there anymore. He said that the reason was that it was too far. One thing that the Berkshire lawyer is asking him, is sprinkling throughout whenever Charlie just says, no, he wasn't looking for more work, his back was killing him, and that's why he stopped working at most of these, like 30 to 40 offices at the most. And he says, it was a long drive, or his back was hurting him and they didn't really need him, or something like that. And then like 5 or 6 times they say, okay, any discussion about the publicity around your ex-brother-in-law's murder? And Charlie sometimes answers, he says no, and then they switch the subject and they rephrase it. They say, they never said at any point like, hey, what's all this about, or anything like that. And then Charlie says no. They're trying really hard to dig for any answers with Charlie, but I just had kind of a realization today that they do dig for the reason that Charlie's filing this lawsuit. They ask who inspired him to do so, that maybe his criminal lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, might have inspired him to file this lawsuit for sympathy or maybe some sort of explanation, or he's not working as much anymore and digging around in his financials and maybe money is getting a little tight. So let me know if you think that that reason could be possible and true, and let me know your comments below. I'm pretty much almost done with this document. It's pretty much mostly just talking about the dental practices that he no longer works for, and they're kind of trying to prove a point that a lot of these relationships have been severed because of possibly the publicity around, the negative publicity around the Dan Markel murder and his involvement. So, all right, guys, let me know what you think below, and thank you so much for liking and subscribing and watching my videos. Have a wonderful day.